Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm looking at the Nomad Star Tracker from MoveShootMove. Do you want to get into astrophotography but feel a little bit intimidated by all of the different options when it comes to telescopes, cameras, mounts and accessories? Well, then you should check out the Nomad Star Tracker from MoveShootMove. This little device will enable you to take longer exposures with your normal camera of the night sky or Milky Way by rotating at the same speed of the Earth. I'm going to show you how to mount this device on a tripod, what kind of accessories you might need, and how to do a polar alignment to enable you to get those long exposure photos that we all want. So let's get started. First of all, we have the Star Tracker here, the MoveShootMove Nomad. This is an original configuration made for 3.5 kilograms. It has a USB-C connector on the side here for charging, and it has simply one switch, and that is on for either north or south celestial pole. If you live in the northern hemisphere like I do, I will use it in the north mode. If you live in the southern hemisphere, you use it for the south mode. You have a mounting hole here to be used for either the laser pointer, but I'm not going to be using that accessory. It is not allowed in that strength here in Sweden, where I live. But we will use this together with the phone mount later on. And on the front here you have the attachment for the camera or ball head. And you simply unscrew this and you can attach this to your ball head or whichever accessory you are using. There is one modification made to this, or accessory added onto it, I should say, and that is the Vixen shoe here. You have an Arca Swiss shoe originally mounted on the Nomad Tracker, and you can use that directly on normal photography tripods and accessories, but I'm actually going to be using this tracker on a polar wedge with a Vixen mount. So that is why this Vixen shoe is on here. As I said earlier, I'm going to be using my phone to do a polar alignment. And for that I'm using the phone holder here, and that will be attached to the back of the tracker, and the phone will simply be attached to the holder here. No strange things about that. And This is an official MoveShootMove accessory, and it comes with a holder and you will simply put that into the holder here and then screw it in place, and this holder will be attached on the back of the Star Tracker here. I also opted for this V-mount that you can buy from MoveShootMove. There is a V-mount and a Z-mount available. The V-mount is a 2-piece like this, and the Z-mount is a 3-piece. And the V-mount will be placed on top of the tracker, and then you will simply raise this part to keep your ball head with your camera leveled, and that will give you the best starting point when you are trying to shoot the night sky. Even though it's not completely necessary, a normal and good ball head will let you adjust this anyway, but I think it's a good addition. So these are the 3 components that I got from MoveShootMove. You would need some other accessories in order to get this kit complete, and a few of those, or most I think, you can buy from MoveShootMove if you want, but I already have some here, so I'm going to use those. I'm going to show you now. The first thing I'm going to be using is this ball head from Inorel, the N52. This is a very powerful ball head. It comes with my Inorel RT80C tripod, so this will be used to mount my camera. And in order to polar align, you could use another ball head. You could even use the V-mount here and try to adjust this to the position that you are in, but this doesn't really allow for micro adjustments, and if you tighten this, it will probably flex a little bit, and I would say it would be impossible to get a good polar alignment with one of these, so I wouldn't start with that at the bottom of your gear setup. In theory, you could also use a ball head, and you could try to get this polar aligned, getting it to the right degree, like 63 degrees, and you can tighten that, and you could also probably make some adjustments here, but it would also entail that you loosen this clamp every time, make adjustments, and then you tighten it back up. And if you're going to make adjustments, you're probably not going to get it as exact as you would like. So I don't recommend using a ball head as a base. What I do recommend using is some kind of polar wedge. Now, there are some options. There's one option from MoveShootMove if you want to get that. There's also a Skywatcher wedge if you're planning on using other trackers or heavier equipment. I have this Ioptron polar wedge, and it is simple, but I think it's effective. You have a bubble level here, and you can make adjustments on these 2 knobs exactly the way you do in a normal big mount. And you can also make adjustments here in the back to get it up and down. And this will go all the way to like 65-70 degrees. That's about maximum. Some of these won't even go past 60 degrees, which can be a problem for me. It is because I live at 63 degrees north, so I really have to have that being able to go further. So let me just pull this down a lot, because like I said, I live at 63 degrees north, so we have like, this will be set at this angle for me, and this plate will go into your standard mount. All of this will be riding here on this tripod, the RT80C. Now this is a heavy duty carbon fiber tripod. This will take loads up to like 15 kilograms or something like that. Even this Ballhead will do that. So this is a very sturdy thing to start with, and it has the right type of screw here, like, and this will go together with the wedge here perfectly. So we will start the assembly process here, and then we will check out the polar alignment. I will take my polar wedge. I will put the wedge on here, and I will attach it to the tripod. One negative thing about this polar wedge is that you can't rotate it all the way around. You can adjust it, but only this much. So this polar wedge needs to be roughly positioned in the right way, I would say, before you can adjust it with the screws here and then tighten it down there. On top of the polar wedge here you will mount your star tracker, and since I have a Vixen shoe on here already, that is not a problem. I simply tighten it down like this. On top of the star tracker here I will position the V-mount, and that will enable me to level out the mounting position for the ball head. I will simply screw this on the back here, and since I'm not screwing this on to a plate with some holes, I need to make sure that this little Allen screw here is all the way out, so this will fit perfectly on here. And you can take a screwdriver or something and really make sure that this is tight on here. This will then be attached to the tracker using the threads on the side here. The main function for this is to make a level mounting base for your ball head. So take this up to about a leveled, tighten this, and then we are going to place our ball head on top, and on top of that we are going to have our camera mounted. Now you might think this is the wrong threads here. These are too big and this is too small, and you would need to have an adapter. You will screw that into your ball head, and you will simply place your ball head like that, and then you will fasten your head. Now we have the complete assembly, starting with the tripod, the polar wedge, the Nomad Star Tracker here on the wedge. We have the V-mount on the Star Tracker, and on top of the V-mount we have the ball head. Now we simply take our camera In this case, I'm using the Sony A7 IV together with their FE 1.8 16mm G lens for wide field. I have a camera cage on here, but that's just because I really like to have the Arca Swiss built in. That will enable me to simply place the camera on top here and tighten that. Now when everything is mounted here, I will attach the mobile phone holder, and then when I'm ready to photograph, I can align my camera the way I want it without any issues whatsoever, because this will be polar aligned, and then it will just rotate with the earth here. So I have no problems composing my image exactly the way I want it after that step has been completed on this gear here. I'm going to attach the mobile phone holder. So I'm going to take this little accessory. I'm going to remove this screw up here. Then I will be placing this piece here, and I will screw this on. Make sure the template here aligns with the two sides here, keeping it tight, and then fasten it as hard as you can, like that. Now this can be used to hold a polar scope, and I don't have one of those. I'm simply going to put this plastic knob in there so I won't lose it. And here I'm going to place the phone holder now. And then I can actually fasten the phone mount using the nylon screw at the end here. So when you're doing this now, I would suggest making sure that the bottom of that is aligned to the actual mount. And there you have it, the phone mount attached to the Star Tracker here. I've seen different methods of using this phone mount. You can have it this way, and that will actually line your phone up in this direction. And I've seen some apps where you have the phone directed this way. I'm using an app called Polar Aligner Pro, and that requires the phone to be in this position. So I'm attaching it now, making sure that the phone is in alignment with the tracker in this way. And if you want to, you can also use this as a leveler. You have the bubble level spirits here on the display. So if you want, you can tilt the entire rig up, get it leveled. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm not doing that. The first thing that I'm doing in the app now is that I want to switch from magnetic north that it is using. So I'm going to click on the compass here, and I'm going to switch to geographical pole auto mode. And that will give me true north. Now I have roughly aligned the tripod now, even though I'm inside here. in my basement to north, and now I'm going to fine tune this with a day alignment here. So I'm going to switch on day align option, and that will give me a view here trying to find the center of this. Now the actual alignment is going to be done with the knobs here and on the right side and in the back here in order to adjust the polar wedge up and down. So I'm going to move the camera here. Hopefully you will be able to see on the display on my phone here as I am making adjustments. We are not aligned yet, but we're not super far off. As I said, I've already roughly aligned this mount due north. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to adjust in the back here of the polar wedge, getting this to a steeper angle. We are at 63 degrees north here, so I'm adjusting this down, and as you can see, the crosshair in the middle there is moving up or steeper. 63 degrees, it is a bit steep, so we're closing in now, and that brings me to fine-tuning left and right, so to speak. So I'm gonna grab these and I'm gonna fine-tune until we get the crosshairs in the middle. I think this tool is jumping a little bit for me now because I have a lot of electronic equipment around. Might be interfering a little bit. I'm also in the basement here. But I think the functionality of the app and the phone holder here is good. I will of course test this out in the field later when I'm doing photography. It's also good to have it mounted like this instead of having it mounted the other way around, which means you have to be lying on the floor basically. We are using a 16mm lens, and that is actually very forgiving. Since I got some weird hopping results with the Polar Aligner Pro, I thought I would test out another app to do the polar alignment, and that is Photopills. For that app, the phone holder needs to be mounted the other way. Instead of having the phone mounted like this, the phone is actually mounted like that, and then the app uses some kind of augmented reality in order to line up to the north celestial pole here. What I've noticed here that it is fairly, or should be fairly important, that you have this at a 90-degree angle from this, and that you have it leveled here. So you should put this on a bench or something and make sure that this is leveled with this. And then use a spirit leveler or something to make sure that it is completely leveled in this direction. So you have 90 degrees here and here. Inside the app Photopills here, you have the option of choosing spot stars. And in that option, you have AR for augmented reality. I'm carefully mounting the phone to the holder here, making sure that it is completely flush against the phone mount here. If you have a phone holder or a cover here that make it impossible for the phone to be flush against the backside of the holder, you should remove the cover and then try to line it up in the actual holder there. Now I'm going to move the camera so you can have a view from underneath, because that is the downside of this app. You have to watch the phone from underneath here. The goal here is to actually get the crosshair exactly in the middle of the celestial pole there. It might be a little bit harder to see than with the other app, but I think it's a little bit more precise. Make small adjustments and give the app and the sensors in the phone some time to adjust after each adjustment you make to the wedge or your mount here, because I've noticed that it drags a little bit. So if you tighten too much in one end here and you feel like it's not moving anything in the app, and then it might move a long way after a few seconds. So make small adjustments and give the app some time to realign. And when you have the crosshair exactly in the middle there, then you are aligned to the North Celestial Pole. Then you should just tighten everything up here on your wedge and make sure that you don't move anything, I would say. For me, at 63 degrees north, you can see that the angle of the wedge here is extreme, and the V-mount is not that particularly necessary, because you don't gain so much. This is basically almost leveled, just a few degrees here, and even though this is rated to withstand 4.5 kilos, and it has a rotating feature, you can rotate the entire thing here and reposition after the tracker has been rotating for a while. I can achieve that with my Ballhead because I have a rotating feature on that as well. So I don't know, I might not use the V-mount at all later. I might connect the Ballhead here directly to the tracker. Some of you might have noticed the lever here to tension the V-mount here is actually hitting my Ballhead, but I thought, oh, this is going to be a problem initially. There is an Allen key here that you can tighten, but you can actually pull this out. It is feather based, so you can pull it out and you can reposition it. So I can actually reposition it anywhere I want. So that enables me to tighten it and open it, and then just simply reposition it to wherever I need it to be at that time. So that's a very good feature for this V-mount. If you don't need the polar scope and don't want to catch on it or something, I suggest just unscrew these two and remove it from the phone holder plate. And you can also remove the entire phone holder when you are done with your polar alignment. That way you don't have to have this. Even though this won't be rotating anything, this will be stationary, as well as the wedge here. Everything that is going to rotate is up here. So above this red, everything will rotate, this will stay stationary. It's time to do a quick polar alignment here, and then I'm going to see if I can get some images of the Milky Way. Now we are all eager to see the results of the tracking performance of the MoveShootMove Nomad Star Tracker. Well, I must say that I've had very bad luck with the weather so far in this season. It looked fine when I was going out to image, but then it clouded over. But before that, I got the test frames that I needed, even though I couldn't get enough data to make a final presentable Milky Way image. We are going to take a look at the performance here. I took 3 test frames. I started off by a 30-second exposure here of the Milky Way. Now this is one light frame. It has been somewhat calibrated in terms of color. Other than that, no actual processing has been done to this image. There are a lot of stars in the image here. When not cropped and zoomed in like this, I think PixInsight found like 56,000 stars in this one frame. But keep in mind, I also used a 16mm f1.8 lens from Sony. The star shape is fine. You can see the brighter star here, that it is nice and round. What happens when we double the exposure? Went up to 60 seconds. Well, nothing much, other than we got more details, of course. The star shape is still excellent here. No different whatsoever, I would say. What happens if we double it again and go up to 120 seconds, 2 minutes, with this little tracker? Excellent results. The star shape is nice and round here. We can zoom in a little bit more and we can copy that setting over. You can see that the star shape is unchanged, I would say. 2 minutes, it's not a problem whatsoever. I have around 1.5 kilograms of load on the tracker at this time. You could put a lot more on it, of course, but it might be a different story if you go up in focal length, of course. But for right now, I'm very pleased with the result of the Nomad Star Tracker here. I will, of course, as soon as possible, try to gather some data to make a real image, and I will come back with a video on that, and maybe also show some processing steps where I combine maybe the power of PixInsight with the processing or development of the frames in Affinity Photo 2 that I use, because I can say there are some challenges when you are dealing with 16mm. You have a lot of vignetting. It's very sensitive to light sources and light pollution from the sides. that I'm not used to when I'm dealing with my 510mm telescope. When it comes to polar alignment, I think I am in favor of the Photopills app and the augmented reality feature. Even though you might have to get on one knee, I found it to be more precise than the Polar Aligner Pro. Just make sure that the telephone is lined up as good as it can get with the Star Tracker itself in the phone holder, and make sure that the tripod is leveled also. Sometimes you just want to get out under the night sky and to enjoy the stars and take some photos without planning for days or weeks ahead. Just put it on your tripod, get a fast polar alignment, and take some amazing shots. In my opinion, everyone should have this little gadget in the photo bag. Now there are more advanced products on the markets, and of course you can't compare it to a normal telescope and a mount. But for the purpose of this product, with a normal camera and a wide lens, I don't see how you can beat the functionality, the price range, and the ease of use that you get with the Nomad Star Tracker. And instead of just tinkering with equipment all evening, you might just look up and actually enjoy the night sky as well while you are taking the pictures. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already doing so. Until the next video, I wish you have clear skies.